Alright, response video on the subject of free will and consciousness. Two videos, Modern Mystic and Conference Report. We've sort of been over and over this stuff, but I guess you have to keep arguing it. Yeah, next video is sort of a little too bottom line, I'd say. I mean, yeah, the idea that you either will or you won't is, well, it's kind of obvious. I mean, you either will get colon cancer or you won't. You either will this or you will. So, I mean, that's sort of a given, you know, that. But I think there's more to the dynamic. I think he just kind of left out of the dynamic the fact that we are effectively muses for each other. I mean, I used Tiger Woods as an example before, but yeah, I mean, Tiger Woods was his will, his accomplishment, his ability was the product of the musing of his father. His father built him a piece at a time, so to speak, an experience at a time. And maybe a great songwriter or something else is going to be built by the people around them, in the sense that if the people around them, like unlike Kurt Cobain, for example, I mean, maybe he would have done something great, but yeah, no one was around him to stop him from becoming a heroin addict and, you know, losing all ability to see a road out. So, you know, and I would say for most of these guys, you know, they get some money and they sort of waste their talent in recreation. But Bisnick was almost implying, in a way, that the song is either in your head or it's not in your head. And that's really not the truth. It's like Einstein's theory wasn't in his head or not in his head. He did have to sit around and probably scribble on a piece of paper for hours upon hours. And he had to twist things and bend things and wrinkle them and crush them and play with them to make it fall into place. And he had to have the muse of not only the spare time to do that, you know, but also people around him again that might inspire him with a sentence or two, inadvertently or deliberately, that would have, you know, made it possible for him to get the first bricks right, to build a house on top of it, kind of a thing. They would have created those foundation and made the rest more obvious. Yeah, so I mean, you know, his video was just too crude in terms of this sort of bottom line thing. Yeah, obviously people will or they will not. In the end, there'll be an ultimate destiny that we're walking towards. We will either be mused by good circumstances or mused by bad ones. Something could happen right now. My house could fall down and change my life radically and prevent me from accomplishing something I may have accomplished, or save me from some other worse fate or negative fate. There's all that is playing a part in our will. Our will isn't our creation. We've sort of been over this before, back in our old conversation. To me, the most valuable conclusion to come out of that conversation was the realization that I have more power to influence Nick's brain than Nick's brain has power to influence itself, kind of a thing. That we are, by throwing stuff at each other, giving ourselves creating the randomness. Not only that, the false randomness, but a sense of randomness, a kind of randomness, you know, a bit of chaos. And we're also seeding, foddering with good fertilizer sometimes through our interaction. And so we essentially make each other. So there's a subtle irony here where I could say, I am the fault of you people. So anything good about me or anything bad about me is your fault. And I'll take credit for Conference Report and Modern Mystic. Yeah, and you people can have credit for me. But that's the irony of it, is that we're more a product of our environment than we are a product of anything you could call yourself. Yourself is what you have been exposed to, what you have experienced. And that's what it is. Now, yeah, it's a long video, and I will have to change board sides often, as I'm old and feeble. Anyway, it's heavy. It's 10 feet long, 2x6, pressure treated, heavy shit. Anyway, you know, I walk a mile with. Anyway, conference report. Okay, now this is more about the mechanics of will or consciousness. And, you know, he cites a couple of authors and all that kind of crap, and that's fine. But I just don't like the model much. His model. I think the idea of we have a bunch of competing brains, you know, different elements of programming, of machinery. And then when it all combines, it creates this illusion of consciousness. And the bottom line was it all exists because it created behavior. That always has to be remembered. So everything it's doing, theoretically, could happen in some other pool. There could be like a consciousness is like the bowl that the oh, that's nice, branches falling out of trees. I don't want to have to be looking up. Anyway, yeah, consciousness is like the bowl that the ingredients are mixed in. You know, it's just it's sort of an inadvertent but necessary component. You have to have this place where things like feelings, memories, and current sensual experience can all flood into one place and be coalesced and to interact with each other, to react to each other. But they're all competing programs. It's like we have a program for every word in our brain, in our memories. He sort of describes some sort of pulling a string thing and all that stuff, and I just think that doesn't really do it. It seems clear that our memories are stored in very low resolution. I mean, if you try to conjure up an image of somebody from your youth, it's really fuzzy. I mean it's I don't know what they used to call that. They used to have some kind of place and stick thing where you could make pictures or even etch a sketch or something like that. Your brain is almost saving your memories as an algorithm. So it's almost like a vector graphics, if you know what those are. It's a mathematical reduction. It's a very high compression because instead of remembering the exact circles, you just remember them as a geometric equation. So you save a huge amount of space because you aren't acknowledging each pixel. And that's sort of how our brain memories are really fuzzy. They're just made out of composite pieces. You know, standard haircut, the standard nose, the standard blue eyes, the standard... It's like you can see how it's almost cookie cutter bits that are thrown together, and we call that a memory. So our memory isn't some sort of perfect bitmap. It's with a frame rate. It's a composite of the features, and also among those what we call visual features, what are remembered are emotional features. The smell of the person, the dominant experiences are tied to feelings maybe of fear or love or attachment or joy or whatever, and we can almost smell those feelings being recreated. We can taste it again, but it's a synthetic. But I'd say the feelings are remembered more accurately because the feelings are something we currently experience, so your brain is making them all the time. But yeah, an image has way too much information in it for your brain to take a snapshot and in high definition and retain it. You know, you just use up all your brain space way too quickly. So it has to compress it into sloppy representations made out of your vocabulary, made out of your emotions. So let's see what else. Yeah, I just think it's important to recognize this idea that your will is merely the byproduct of a competition between software programs. Your emotions, your thoughts are coming into your consciousness through different vehicles, and they both have their evolutionary purpose, and they're both attempting, well, wrong word, they don't try to do anything. But the game is, in the end, is to create this organism, and we can see the functionality in it. The feelings create motivation. They create a learned response, which might be, fight or flight or feed, flight or fuck, feed, flight or fight, that's what your feelings are creating. And then your brain, you can see it doing this analysis. Let's compare different circumstances. Let's run the model in our head and try to see if there's a way where there's a hole where the Tyrannosaurus can't get us, even though, obviously we as Homo sapiens didn't exist when the Tyrannosaurus did. Our ancestors certainly did. And so we're part of that. We have that sort of built into us, that they had this necessity to avoid predation. And that's you can sort of see the scheming nature of the beast is at its best when it's trying to find a way to satisfy its motivating desires that are essentially competing with each other. Hunger and fear, as I've used that example before. But I just think it's the consummate example to illustrate that that's where our brain came from, was this idea of having variable interests and being able to mix them up and throw in some logic and some memory and come up with a thing called will. And that's where it comes from. But you're certainly a byproduct of your life experience and a little bit of your genetic disposition. Sorry, horsefly bit me yesterday. So I guess I could add, To Be Serious has made another video implying, that there's a genetic component that's significant in all this. And I think we're way past genetics here. What we are genetically is becoming so irrelevant. As the dominant feature is now what we learn, is our understanding of the mechanics of the system, the mechanics of our role in the game. The fact that we can even say the word game and understand this role playing and this being a piece and this following the rules and this judging the rules, understanding fairness and unfairness. And these are all concepts that have no genetic component, and they're the dominant definers of human character. You can certainly desire, you can have moments of pettiness, and you recognize them as petty. The whole fact that we even have a word like petty demonstrates that we've recognized that our psychology has built into it mechanisms that are good in a natural world. In a crude world, revenge makes sense because you'll protect your future from harm, because you'll destroy totally your enemy. So we could have a natural instinct to behave like hyenas and kill the young of our enemy, the lion. But we're now smart enough to know, no, that's just bullshit. First, it won't work. Second, it's unethical. It's cheating. It's unhonorable. It's beneath our dignity. We have all these kinds of awarenesses that there's no way an animal has. He just feels the emotion, picks up a stick if it's a chimpanzee, and starts whapping the crap out of everything. He has a tantrum. We're not as subject to tantrums. We're not as subject to acting on first impression. We have the luxury of a brain that says, wait, think, wait, think. Especially once you recognize that you're a sloppy driver of your human vehicle, then you're going to be saying wait, think a lot. Because you're going to know that in the past you acted on impulse and it was stupid and retarded and it was unsatisfying. That cold dish of revenge will give you indigestion if you give it enough time and give it enough thought. So there's so many ways that our understanding, our memes are doing the evolution. Our memes own us now. Even a dumb human, has memes built out of pop culture. Memes built out of the cartoons he has watched. Memes that are much more controlling than the basic, crude first response of the emotional disposition. Most people, even dumb people, are able to moderate their anger. They know to leave the room, punch the wall, do something else with it. But don't hit the bitch. Most people can get past their desire to, run the religious nut on the side of the road over. But yeah, if it was about genetics, there'd be a lot of roadkill. So it's not about genetics. It's about ideas and the context and the understanding that those ideas provide. Knowledge of our reality, accurate description of what we're in. So many people think we're still in the Garden of Eden. Other, more rational people realize that we're in the ultimate Alcatraz. We are prisoners of garbage, of stupid ambition, stupid ego-centric, selfish desire, prisoners of idiotic systems of random, quote-unquote, of unearned results. Nature has no brain, it applies no judgment, therefore it can create no fairness. We have to do that. But that's the accurate description is recognizing the huge risks of this game, the horrors, the imbecile context, and certainly the most importantly, the absence of an objective, a stupid joyride, where every now and then 50 million people have to die horribly because we're going to fight over, who gets the biggest piece of the banana cream pie. We are a ludicrous, silly beast. So if you understand that context, caution will dominate your psychology. Anyway, enough of the video. Till next time.